Okay, it is 1 o'clock, so we are going to get started. This is Laura Belanger from NWS Atlanta. So many of you may know me as meteorologist in this office. I've been here for a while. I'm now in the role of the Senior Service Hydrologist, so I just wanted to mention that. I look forward to continuing to work with all of you for any meteorological and now hydrological needs that you may have or any concerns that you have. So I wanted to mention that before we get started. We'll jump right in here and start talking about our briefing for the week. So our overview and what we're looking at, typically for the next day or so, we're looking at higher than seasonal rain chances headed into the weekend. But then starting over the weekend, we've got some higher pressure that's going to be building westward into the area, and that's going to mean more seasonal type rain chances through basically next week. Now we are watching the tropics. We've got one low pressure system that could impact our area next week, early next week, and then potentially we could have Tropical Storm Florence here that the Hurricane Center is continuing to watch right now. So these are the current conditions as of noon today. So our temperatures out there were in the 80s. You can see over on the east side of the state in the southeast, we were a little bit warmer, and that looks to be the trend into next week as we've got that high pressure coming in. You can expect that eastern side of the state to really stay a few degrees warmer than the rest. You can see off on the right-hand side, we've got our satellite picture. We are seeing some cloud development and some storms already developing over there in South Georgia, kind of closer to the Albany and Americus areas, and then up over the Northeast Georgia mountains. So we're already beginning to see those rain showers fire up this morning, or this afternoon rather. Okay, so today through Friday, you can see the first image on the left. We've got that high pressure off the mid-Atlantic states that's starting to nose into our area, but you'll notice those bright blue colors over Georgia, Alabama, into Tennessee, and that's as a result of the flow around that high pressure system that's really drawing that good Gulf moisture up into the area. And so what that means for us is that we're going to have some higher than normal afternoon and evening rain chances, especially over north and western Georgia. But as we go into next week, you can see that that high pressure there in the right image is sort of shifting over the mid-Atlantic states instead of just being over the ocean. And we're seeing more of that influence of that high pressure building in. So those brighter blue colors are further off to the west and the south. And we see a return to more seasonal conditions, typically 20 to 30% chances next week. But one thing that I did want to point out here on this picture is now this red L that shows up. And so this is not being identified right now by the Hurricane Center, but it is a low pressure area that is originating over the water. And it looks to be impacting the Florida coast potentially maybe into Tuesday, depending on which model you look at. Now, some of these models are then taking it across the Florida Peninsula and then into the northern Gulf Coast. But with that high in place, it's really going to help shield us from this low pressure system coming northward into Georgia. So at least through Labor Day, it looks like we're going to be okay and not impacted there, regardless of how this low pressure system continues to evolve. Now, this is not the same low pressure system that the Hurricane Center is watching right now. This is the 11 a.m. advisory that was issued earlier today for potential Tropical Storm 6. And you can see it's off the coast of Africa. It's expected in the next day or so to become a tropical storm. And you can see their 5-day forecast does take it out through Tuesday morning. What we're seeing in the models right now is that this kind of stays out to sea. So when you guys are seeing this kind of stuff come out of the Hurricane Center, this is not the same thing that we're looking at impacting Florida potentially there on on Tuesday morning. Now, as far as the rain chances through this weekend, you can see that as the high pressure system builds into the area, Saturday into Sunday, we see a reduction a little bit in our rain chances, particularly over the metro Atlanta area down towards Columbus and including Macon. And then we see a little bit more of that on Labor Day, where North Georgia seems to go closer to that typical 20% chance. Now, it is possible that portions of central Georgia and South Georgia, depending on how that low pressure system, how far north over Florida it moves northward, then we could really see some higher chances, only about 40 to 50% chance up there in South and Central Georgia. Now, as far as the weekend high temperatures go, we're looking a little bit higher than seasonal, so we're really topping out in the upper 80s, maybe the 90s in portions of East and Southeast Georgia, and so that's going to be a little bit higher than we would typically see during the summertime, and I'll show you those numbers in just a minute. Now, as far as our rain chances for next week, again, as I mentioned, depending on the track of that low pressure system over Florida, portions of South and Central Georgia could see some higher rain chances, and we see that continue at least through Tuesday, maybe into Wednesday. But the rest of the state, we're looking at more normal rain chances in that 20 to 30% chance range. Now, as far as the 7-day rainfall total is concerned, this is what the Weather Prediction Center has for us. The majority of the state is under an inch of rain. Parts of far north Georgia, they could see maybe closer to 1.5 inches or so. And then into kind of the northeast Georgia mountains and into Tennessee, it could be a little bit higher there, and then in western North Carolina as well. But it looks like any heavy rainfall associated with that low pressure system over Florida would stay well south of the area and potentially all over the Gulf of Mexico. So not really a concern right now. Now, as far as the weekly trend, again, as I mentioned, for North Georgia, we're seeing this reduction in rain chances from today through the weekend and really settling around that 20 to 30% chance. And temperatures are in the upper 80s, 87, 88 or so. Portions of Central Georgia, I put Macon on here just for reference. Your temperatures are a little bit warmer, and you're a little bit closer to that 35, maybe 40% chance of rain as we go into next week. Now, how does this compare to where we are normally? Our highs for this time of the year for the Atlanta area are about 87, so we're pretty close. We're a little bit higher on our low temperatures. We should be closer about 70 degrees. And then for Macon, we're looking right around normal for 90 degrees, lows around 69, and we are a little bit higher than that. Now, eastern Georgia, you could see a degree or two warmer than this for next week. So as far as our summary goes, higher than seasonal rain chances today and Friday, but we are looking for that high pressure to really allow us to get back to where we should be during the summertime, that 20 to 30% chance, all depending on the track of that low pressure system. Now, we are watching the tropics, but potentially that Florence is right now the potential tropical storm 6, will be a fish storm. It will stay well out to the ocean and not impact any of the East Coast at all. So that's what I have for you today. Feel free to connect with us. Phone call, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and we're happy, as always, to work with you guys. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, hearing no questions, thank you guys. Have a happy Labor Day weekend, and we will see you guys here back next week. Thank you.